video lecture for Jewish food. A little brief lecture. We're going to start just by watching this minute and a half Seinfeld video.
What's going on here? What are you doing? I got 3 kitchens going. I got brisket going at Newman's. I got Kugel working at Mrs. Sanfino's. And Mrs. Crip. Try some of this. No, I don't want to. Eat. Your skin and bones. Yeah? This is awful. Yeah. It's crap. It's an acquired taste. Yeah. Oh, Did you follow the recipe? The recipe was for 4 to 6 people. I had to multiply it for 183 people. I guess I got confused. Dirt. Well, I also dropped it on the way over. I'm in trouble. I got no skills. I can't peel. I can't chop. I can't grate. I can't mince. I got no sense of flavor, obviously. You know, I gotta talk to Frank. Kramer, you can't. No, I gotta talk to him. I know that he can help me.
I think there's a dead animal in the elevator.
My stuffed cabbage.
So there's a few funny things about that. First of all, Kramer is cooking some traditional Ashkenazi Jewish foods, kreplach, which is kind of like dumplings, and stuffed cabbage. But what's really funny about it is how he takes on the mannerisms of a Jewish person who is cooking those kinds of things, and the way that he tells Seinfeld to eat, things like that. So let's do a little overview of Jewish dietary laws of kashrut. Jewish dietary laws have many aspects of them. One of those aspects is the separation of milk and meat. So Jews do not eat things that have milk and meat in the same dish or at the same time. Jews also don't eat some foods that are prohibited, simply because that's what it says in the Bible. Things like pork and shellfish. And Passover also is an additional set of rules with regard to what Jews can eat. During the 7 or 8 days of Passover, Jews will not eat anything that is leavened. So anything that rises, flour, products, things like that. Now, one of the things that has to do with this is the separation of milk and meat. And with regard to that, well, first of all, let's take a look at some of these kashrut terms. You can pause and read them to yourselves. They're pretty self-explanatory. So one of the things that we see with the Jewish dietary laws is the separation of milk and meat. And with regard to that, in order to make sure that those things are separated, what will happen is that you'll have organizations that will basically supervise the way that food is produced, and then they will put what's called a hechsher, or a seal of approval, you might say, on the packaging. So if you take a look at this list, this is just a rough sampling of them, but the one that is most common is the OU, which is right down here. So what you need to do is next time that you are at the supermarket, or even now, take a pause and go to your kitchen, take a look at some packaged foods, and many of them will have that particular symbol on it from the Union of Orthodox Jewish Congregations, only because it's the largest of all of these organizations that supervise the production of food. And it's not that they bless the food. In Judaism, inanimate objects are not blessed. They don't have holiness. What they're doing is they're making sure that, for example, a facility that is producing some sort of a meat product isn't also producing something that has dairy in it. So that then you would have essentially cross-contamination of the milk and meat products. Now, one of the aspects of Jewish dietary laws is the idea, is this myth of the treifa banquet, which is one of the articles that's recommended that I hope you do read. And this is the menu from the treifa banquet. And the myth is that it was because of this event, which was the first ordination dinner or ceremony for rabbis who graduated from Hebrew Union College, is that they served a lot of non-Jewish things and a lot of non-kosher food items, and that a bunch of rabbis got upset, left, and then they started the conservative movement in response to that. And I hope that you read Lance Sussman's article because it puts that event in a bit of a different context, the context being one of late 19th century food and events and how different that is. And so essentially the article claims that since they didn't serve any pork, that it was essentially kosher. So I hope you read that article. So that's really it for this brief introduction to Jewish food. There's another great recommended article that I hope you will read about Jews and Chinese food that gives some great insights into the idea that Jews eat a lot of Chinese food, particularly at Christmas time.